Next. We have a problem. 5 verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, honor that comes from Elohim only. Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accuses you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, wrote me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Proverbs 21 and 28. You'll have to see this from another part. False witness shall perish, but the man that hears speaks constantly. So, of course, we've been talking about the man that hears the word will speak everlasting life. We touched briefly on a false witness perishing. Matter of fact, somebody I know asked this question. I shared it with you. They asked, what was the difference between the resurrection and reincarnation? Can anyone adeptly and distinctly be able to elucidate the difference between the two? So yeah, and because they were looking at it as why do people believe one and not the other? Her understanding, she thought reincarnation clearly was you have a child. That child is basically the reincarnation of the parents, and that is more realistic to believe than the resurrection of the dead. But I'm like, that is literally the people who believe in reincarnation. That is not what they believe nor what they say. See, so a lot of religions and things of that nature, or on a mass scale, when they were really just rooted in the culture and area where certain people lived. You know what I'm talking about? Like people who lived in Mesopotamia may not have believed in what people believed in the Far East. People believe different things because they asked on why is the resurrection story outside of Mashiach? Because that story wasn't for anybody but the group of people who it was for. You know what I'm saying? And then the word started off as a worldwide conversation. You know what I'm saying? It was not pertain to them. As we done referenced many times in Acts chapter 16, what does that man tell them? That Paul was teaching them things that were not lawful for them to adhere to, being that they were Romans. See, because people live in America, they just assumed that everybody was mixed together and were dealing with different things, and that is not what was going on throughout the course of history. Indeed, but the resurrection of your eyes, for they have seen testimony of 12 men. You know what I'm saying? And the testimony that Elohim gave that he would do that. So the thought process, see, this is the reason why when you strip away laws and all, that's why a lot of people gonna go to hell. Because what did he say that you would have to believe? That Yahusha is the son of Elohim, and that he what? That he resurrected from the dead. Them fooling with Kali Ma and Shiva and Krishna and all the other stuff that they like to deal with. Into that matter. At this point, it's just got to be that's on everywhere it goes. Ain't nobody know that doggone week. I'm off, bro. Already on the camera. So a camera also meaning they got to sit down and edit it and spend hours waiting for it to upload. Fine to me. Okay, hours, nigga. Definitely have to sit there and look at it. I ain't got time for that. Definitely delay uploads of numerous videos in the past. I hit end, that nigga sends. You know what I'm talking about? And that's all we need. Joel 37. Yeah, some of them cultures who believe in reincarnation prison. This is what niggas really believe the most. You will keep coming back until you get it right, and then you can transcend consciousness. The dumbest thing in the history of mankind. And they be like, you just gonna keep coming back till you get it right. But shoot, if you ain't got it right after leave, because they just hate you. But also because it's easier to believe something that like this here, right? If somebody told you they had been reincarnated, how could they prove it? See, that's why people hit you with that deja vu stuff. He's been here before. Come at you with that old soul stuff. They've been here before. That nigga ain't been here before. That Dalai Lama stuff. That Dalai Lama. Pick the right toy. You done picked the toy, all right. Y'all look. At least you know he like women instead of little boys. I done talked to many niggas on the street on that. You ain't gonna do nothing but burst a neuron, brain cell, a blood vessel, even trying to wrap your mind around how the nigga came up with that. That junk sad whole time. That's the first time I met them boy. Right down there, they call it James Weldon Park now. They don't call it Henry Plaza no more. You know what I'm talking about? Like that make it any better. You know them niggas did all that, they're begging for voting, but you had to go to somebody and ask them to rename a park. I mean, this ain't your home, boy. I mean, the people don't care about you and what you talking about. You know what I'm talking about? Straight up now. But that's the reality. Job 37. Where do we end? You know what? We'll pick it back up at verse 11. Are you okay? Job 37:11. Also by watering he wearied the thick cloud. He scattered the bright cloud. And it is turned about by his counsels that they may do whatsoever he commands them for his land or for mercy. Now let's just turn back over to Hebrews 12 on general principle. Now, you know from Isaiah 53, right, it tells you that the chastisement of our peace was laid upon this man. Is that correct? So when you look at it, right, he says that he is turning this cloud. We've already established this thick cloud. Matter of fact, let me ask you. What's basically going on? No. Slow down. I said, what did we discuss about that thick cloud last night, specifically out of the book of Exodus? Oh, they're going to have to hitchhike back, and we don't want that to happen. Yeah, we talked about that in Isaiah 44, but I said specifically out of the book of Exodus. That is correct. When you seen what it said with that cloud, said that cloud was dark for the Egyptians where they couldn't see, but it was a cloud that had light in it for you to see. And what was the point of him having that black cloud on the Egyptians? Because now your Isaiah 44 that you just mentioned came into play. What did he say in Isaiah 44? That I will blot out your transgressions like a thick cloud. So therefore, the blocking out of the thick cloud was the blocking out of bondage that you was in Egypt. That's back there. Leave that there. You know what I'm talking about? See, that's why there's light came over him while he was on it. Is he not the light of the world? Is he not the light that was in the black in the dark cloud? And what was that there for? For correction, for the land, and for mercy. But why for the land? Let's deal with the most difficult one out of the three. Because I would wager that correction and mercy should be very easy for y'all to ascertain. Why is he turning about that cloud by his counsels that it may do whatsoever he commanded? Because he calls it to come, whether for correction or for his land or for mercy. Why is the land over the door? Oh, the land didn't defile itself. The land vomited you out because you defiled it. So you can't come back. So he has to turn it about to bring it by according to his counsel so that you can come back. Do y'all recall what it said in Jeremiah 30? He said, don't weep for him who dies. He said, for them will never see their native country again. That's what he told you to weep for. Hey, come over here to Psalms 137 real quick. Like, boy, I'm trying to battle this junk up, man. Good grief. What's wrong with it, Pot Saint? Do you know? Because I don't know. Psalms 137 and 1. Say, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. Y'all ought to know. We definitely discussed it before. I mean, it's numerous, but you should at least know one of them. Destroying or dashing the enemy in pieces and bringing the people into his sanctuary. Or, as I kept referencing last evening, being set free. See, the Son has told you in John chapter 8, everybody loves to use it, but nobody in the world, everyone uses it out of the context. The truth shall set you free. See, people like to say the truth will set you free, but it's not in the context of what that man was discussing. He made that statement that the truth shall set you free. Now, I've just given you an inside clue. Oh, no. That's Matthew chapter 3. That's her. Anybody know what anybody figured it out? He said, if you continue in my word, you are my disciples indeed. But what was he talking about before then? Did he not say that before them? That he was from above and they were from where? They were from beneath. Did he not tell them, if you do not believe that I am he, you shall what? Die in your sins. So what he was telling them about was the rapid amount of unbelief that these men possessed. And then what does that, could have been a moth used there, could have been a man, could have been a muna. Who knows? Well, we do know, but we don't have the time to look at that right now. But either way, they all mean the same thing. Something that you can rely on that is firm. Your reliability, your ability to trust the reliability and the firmness and the faithfulness and the steadfastness of the word of Elohim will set you free. What is it setting you free from? Well, of course, so guess what? Now you become Ishmael because you can't dwell in the house. You got to go because you're the son of the bondwoman. You got to go. He said the servant don't abide in the house, but Isaac abides in the house forever. That's what he was telling you. We done discussed that before. He slid Isaac and Ishmael on you real smooth in that conversation. That's why he came back around. That's why Paul came back around and told you that Sinai was symbolic of who? A Hagar, the bondwoman. So then you have to sit back and look at it. Why are you not free? Let's see something real quick, man. Somebody I know made a statement. I saved it too. I knew I wasn't going to remember it. Come my mind back. But the statement that they was made, which is true, that the past is a great teacher, but it's a terrible landlord. You know what I'm talking about? And you can learn from the past, but you don't live in it. And you know what? Have you ever felt like you had a terrible landlord? You know why the past ends up being a terrible landlord? Because it'll never fix any issue in your unit. It'll let your faucets leak. It'll let your AC be broke. It'll let your locks be messed up. It won't come fix the holes in the driveway. None of it. You know what I'm talking about? That's why it's a terrible landlord if you decide to live in it, because you're going to live in squalor. You know what I'm saying? You learn from the experience. You be better for it. You go forward with your life. This is what Yahushua wanted you to understand, that you do not have to live in sin. You don't have to sit back and be like, I did this and I did that. Because him coming to redeem you is according to his mercies. Ain't got nothing to do with you. See, we'll end up rejecting mercy because you're so worried about how unworthy you are. Well, you were unworthy the day you were born. You know what I'm saying? Because you were born of dust and ashes. So before you committed any work, you were already unworthy to stand in his presence because you're dust and ashes. So let that settle in your mind before you realize that you did this and you did that. You are already unworthy because you're flesh and blood. How can flesh and blood stand before spirit? It can't. It can't. So that's the part you have to understand. Now, of course, you've been living in the world. You've committed some manner of a like a thick cloud. Just come back. At a hole, but them that need a who? A physician. Them that are sick. Because the word, he said, the law is not for a righteous man. It's for men slayers. It's for murderers. It's for those who abuse themselves with mankind. It's not for people who are just. It's for people who are unjust. That's why he told you there's forgiveness with him, that he might be anything that deals with anything that causes you to move in any type of anxiety, fear, nervousness, or anything of the such. You are not perfect at all that we be having going on. He wouldn't have got on the tree. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to stop your love from being perfected. And all of those things are mental and emotional and spiritual. By Samson to break the bonds that were on his arms. Because Ruach of Yahuwah. And the reason why you're lying to yourself, because you don't want to be comforted. And you're allowing your soul who doesn't want to be comforted, because remember, your soul is contrary to the Ruach. It's not going to be subject. You have to allow the word to overpower that. And the ability to do that is to get out of the way. It's basically to lay down your life. Like I said, it's easy. Some people say it's easier said than done, but the reason why it's really so easy to do is the desire and the willingness to do it. See, when you wavering, or you really just want to wallow in your sorrow, or wallow in your, like, I know a lot of people who done dealt this word, who's in all manner of sin and didn't want to get out of it. All they want to talk about was the sin that they was in. And I'm just this horrible person, and I'm a sinner, and I'm this that. But nigga, get up out the mud. How many of y'all, if you done put on a fresh pair of kicks, you just gonna keep stepping in the mud because they got dirty? Oh, so you just gonna keep stepping on it? Oh, you were pointing at the church. Oh. You know what I'm saying? You feel like, oh, you got some dirt on your shoes, you just gonna keep stepping in the dirt. Well, that's what we do on our inward parts. Because you done stepped in some mud, you just feel like I just gotta stay in it. Because he told you to wash it by what? By the washing of the water of the word. As a matter of fact, what did the Lord say? You are now clean from what? The words that I have spoken unto you. So all we're discussing about being set free and being purged from the things that cause us to be separated from Elohim. Silence, boy. Nigga, 6'2 3/4, 235 pounds, doing all that crime, man. Verse photo. I'm not in verse 4, verse 5. Psalm 137. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy, why would you be remembering Jerusalem over your chief? When Yahushua got killed and he got resurrected from the dead, he already knew. How many times did he tell the people, you can't go where I'm going? Man, let me tell y'all something, man. I done told you this before. I tell you this every time we get ready to baptize somebody. There is not a single solitary sin that any of you have committed, that will preclude you from getting in this kingdom unless you done blaspheme this man's spirit. And I don't believe any of you have done anything of the such. So therefore, if you did it before you knew him, let it go. You know what I'm talking about? If you did it after you knew him, let it go. You know what I'm talking about? The reason why I say that dead weight will not allow you to run the race. Has any of you ever tried to run with weights on your back? I don't think none of y'all been in the service. Because that's how they train you, don't they? They train you to run with a 40-pound backpack on your back. But you know what ends up happening when you get trained to run with that backpack on your back? It's not as heavy anymore. But see, you're not trained to run type of weight on your back. So guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be bogged down. You're going to get tired. You're going to get depleted. You're going to fall out, and you're going to quit. That's what's going to happen if you keep running with weights on your back. Well, I was going to get Psalms 125. Let's go ahead and do it.
Sit down.
Or 126, actually.
Down.
What fix your face over there, boy? Like somebody done took your commissary bag. What's wrong with you, boy? Psalms 126. It can give you stamina, But for the most part, when you talk about carrying weights on your back, it doesn't allow you to run a race efficiently. Yes, one thing if you just training, but not when you're running a race. You know what's going to happen if you run with weights on your back in a race? You're going to lose. And you know why you're going to lose? Because you're not going to be able to keep up. That's all the reason why I mentioned that, because what did he tell us in Hebrews 12 that we read last night? Put the sin in the way that, and impatience is born through anxiety and stress and worry and unbelief. And all of those things are contrary to Elohim. And again, ain't nobody who served Elohim shouldn't have any manner of anxiety or worry in their heart at all. I recall when we went through that in Philippians that you should not be anxious for nothing. You shouldn't have that in you. You know where all that stuff comes. That stuff don't come from him. I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? See, it's a lot of things that we experience and go through mentally and spiritually, and that stuff don't come from the Lord. That don't come from him. That comes from yourself, or that comes from your environment, or that comes from other people. You know what I'm talking about? Because why you really think Yahuwah is laying anxiety, worry, stress, and all that on people's spirits? You really think he's implanting that in you? So if he's not implanting it, where is it coming from? Well, you know where it's coming from. It's coming from the adversary. Because you know what that's going to do? It's going to be spiritual. But we really just don't understand how serious of a battle it is. And little children, all y'all need to be quiet. Yeah, I'm a mom. You all right? I'm trying to remember where I was. No. What just came to my head? Five and four. Galatians 5 and 4. Justified by the law, you are falling from grace. For we through the Ruach wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. But Yahushua HaMashiach, neither circumcision avail anything. Boy, hush. Hush your face. Hush your face, boy. He's genuinely upset too. Oh shoot, you crying? That's what you asked for. So that don't come from him. When we were coming through the wilderness, right, didn't all your so that you can be guided in the way. We just refuse, man. You don't have to take solace in that. Pain is not a place of rest. It's not a place where you want to dwell. Sin is definitely not a place that you want to dwell. Psalms 126. When Yahuwah turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dream. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. They said among the heathen, Yahuwah have done great things for them. You have done great things for us, where we are glad. Turn again our captivity, O Yahuwah, as the streams in the south. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that go forth and weep, bearing precious seed, shall doubtlessly come again, rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. So again, Mashiach's blood is also shed to bring back Jerusalem. Remember what he told you in Luke 13, I believe? They said it's not possible that a prophet perish out of Jerusalem. Now, of course, we know what the correction is for. That's the Musar. But let me make sure that's what it says. Let me make sure that's what that says. What we look at with the rock is to keep you in the way. Rulership. And then, of course, we know what it is in the Mashah HaMashiach, and that's for the mercy. We come over here to what it is, Matthew chapter 12. He was their ruler. Every people got a ruler. See, the only group of people who don't want to be, only group of people who only want to follow leadership with caveats that fit what they want. I'll follow you if you do this, and this. And that's why we have so much chaos. Races of people do not do that. They will follow. That's if you take the time to actually look at other people as a whole, how they operate. Most of us have never been around other races of people on a regular basis. They do not behave like we do. Allegedly had were mortal enemies, and to take pleasure out of it, and to be like, oh man, that nigga tried to kill him. That's why he said that. Other races of people don't do that. They look at that as pure D folly, like them niggas dumb. Like you niggas dumb, and you wonder why they don't respect you. Because no other race of people on the earth would find that, look up if this man owned properties and say, oh, he lying. That's how you know niggas stupid and don't deal with real estate, because people who own real estate never disparage a man because they would know. Man, I know a man owns 1,500 properties. None of those properties are in his name. Not one. Then a stupid nigga say he owned the LLC. It would be on the paperwork. I know you stupid, because you're going to see the LLC. It don't show you on the property appraisal website. You're going to have to go to the Secretary of State website. So then if somebody come and say, hey, you got to do this, this, this. Oh, I ain't following that nigga. I ain't going to follow this nigga unless he got this, 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 and this. And then you out here dolo by yourself, and you never build anything of substance and note. And then you complain about what other races of people have, when you can have that if you would just humble yourself and fall in line. But you don't want to do that. You don't see white people like to say, I'm not listening to my uncles. I'm not listening to my father. I'm not doing that. They don't do that. They're like, all right, bet. Whatever you say. Asian people definitely don't live like that. That's why they don't like for their kids to even come over. Because once your kids become Americanized, it's over. It's over. Now you're gonna be a prideful, ignorant, stupid. They know their kids gonna come over here when you see how they act, because how they act is how they view you. And how they act and how they view you is how they like you. And that's why their parents look on them with disdain, because you're making yourself a lower level, lower class person to actually be a poor person, and you don't come from that. What's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? You're stupid. And that's why they kick them out of the family. Because you stupid. Because if the situation was reversed and you was like that, and your kids wanted to act like trailer park trash, you do the same thing. You don't. We don't come from that. What's wrong with you? What you want to stand on corners for? You're a jackass. You're talking about making somebody else rich who don't look like you, who don't even like you. And you're proud of that. You're proud to put on somebody else's clothes who don't even want you to wear them. Niggas actually believe that they boycotted Gucci. And the earth don't make the Gucci sneakers one time off the website ain't helping the people. You don't have the money to keep them going, because it's only this amount of people who do. Their clothes are for rich people. Man, these people make, that's the part that niggas don't realize. People make 15, money makes $20,000 suits, man. You know what I'm saying? Only reason why you know about this stuff because you watching rappers and entertainers. And look who the people who you trying to model yourself after. We the only race of people who want to model ourselves after actors, athletes, and entertainers. But on another note, to make sure to tie into the word, we stupid. How many times did he tell you don't be like these nations? Don't follow these nations. Why you want to be like somebody who's lesser than you? You know what I'm saying? These people lesser than you. Why you want to be like them? Why are you modeling after someone who is beneath you? If you serve the living Elohim, you're above everyone. Did we not read that in Deuteronomy 7? Did he not say, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world? They're beneath somebody of a rich stock, gonna give their daughter to a nigga who worked at McDonald's. You're beneath me. What we gonna now? I gotta go to all the parties and all the stuff like this here and be like, I heard they gave your daughter to the fry cook. Ain't nobody trying to go through all that. But they your son to the can. Niggas eat booty. Literally. Some sick people, what is you eating? Oh, I thought you were eating some man of whole pasta or something in the bag. I'm like, you living like a savage. I didn't know what it was. I didn't want to play. I see. I mean, do what works for you. Matthew 12:1. At that time, Yahushua went out on Shabbat through the corn, were hungered, and began to pluck the ears of corn and to eat. The disciples do that which is not lawful to do upon Shabbat. But he said unto them, have you not read what David did when he was hungered, and they that were with him? how he entered into the house of Elohim and did eat the shewbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, place one is greater than the temple. And if you had known what this means, I will have mercy and not sacrifice, you would have not condemned the guiltless. Notice what he said. If they knew what that means, he would what? He would have mercy. So what is he talking about having mercy for? If you would have known that you were single solitary time. The favor and the mercy of Elohim was not a new thing. It was established long before he manifested himself. So when he turned Yahushua about and gave him a counsel and advice and purpose, it was for you to have, it was for you to return to the land, and it was for you to have his mercy fall upon you in order that you might be saved. Before we leave, because I realize we talked about some of the stuff already. 37 and 14. Will that boy sleep? Oh, that boy got doodle on his butt. Hearken unto this, O Job, stand still and consider the wondrous works of Elohim. Remember, stand still is a mod, that is to stand or endure. See, pause. Acts chapter 8. I'll give an example of that real quick, like. Acts chapter 8, where we at? Verse 29. After that, Philippians chapter 3, verse 7. Acts 8 and 29. Then the Ruach said unto Philip, go near and join yourself to this chariot. Now that's what we just seen right here in Job, right? He told him, stand still and consider. Consider is B'nai. See, this is the point what I'm talking about is when you get immersed, if you have not Hebrew, I don't care if it was Christian, I don't care what it was. I wouldn't care if it was the 7-day Adventist. At the end of the day, when you see anybody who got immersed, they understood what they were doing before they went and did it. Because why do you think he's asking him to do this? Does he what? Do you understand what you read? There's not. See, what ended up happening, this is why the One West organizations don't really believe in immersion, because they be like, it ain't going to do nothing for you. It's not going to stop you from sinning, and it won't. But the text tells you that what? He told John the Baptist to baptize him for what cause? What did he tell John the Baptist? When he said, John, I need you to baptize me. John said, baptize you? I need you to baptize me. Then Yahushua told John something. What did he tell him? Yeah, he's going to be that right with. We have to check it on another time. In the book of Exodus, right, before a man can enter into the priest's office, what has to happen? Do y'all know what the law says in that regard? That what a priest, Exodus 40. Because everybody looking at, I don't remember that. And I understand, because I would understand. We did it a long time, so I see why you wouldn't remember. That's right, he has to be washed. He has to be washed. Yeah, just hold that. You are a nation of what? A royal priest. And this is Exodus 40 and 10. And you shall, oh man, stinking whore. Go put this in the trash. And it shall be an altar most kadash. And you shall bring Aaron and his sons into the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and wash them with water. And you shall put upon Aaron the kadash garments and anoint him and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. That's why you seen Yahushua get baptized. Did he not put the priest's garments on because the Ruach on him? Was he not anointed because say the priest's garments were made from? Does anybody know? Did you know? Do you know what the priest's garments were made from? Linen. And what does the book of Revelation say about that linen? That's the righteousness of the saints. Fine linen. Wash and be dirty. I don't even know if that's possible. You know what I'm talking about? I don't even know if it's possible to wash and be dirty. You know, Songs of Solomon told you that. I've changed my garments. Why should I put them back on? I wash my feet. How shall I defile them? But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Mashiach, they doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge I might win Mashiach. Now, if you've been around for a round, you know I done told you this before. Ain't now one of y'all gonna go in the bathroom and defecate and stick your hands in the toilet and take your feces out with that which defiles. So why are you touching things that are unclean? If that's what it was, let it be what it was. But let that be a loss that you might win Mashiach. Whatever you thought you had, whatever you thought you could have did, whatever you desired, lose that to win the Lord. See, we don't have the mentality to do that. That's why we don't win in the Lord. Because you still remember what he told you, he that loses life will what? Gain it. See, we don't see this the thing. This goes back to the difference between other races of people and ours. We do not want to sacrifice. Amen. This is what I was talking about last night. You want to win, you want the results, but you don't want to make the necessary sacrifices in order to get the result. And that's not how success works. Because you're going to have to get something up. How you going to sit back and say you ain't going to sacrifice something and Elohim sacrificed his position in heaven in order to redeem you from some folly you got yourself in? You know what I'm talking about? And it was a contradiction against himself. Because y'all know what the law say. If you walk contrary to him, what he going to do? He going to walk contrary to you. He went against himself for you. Again, that goes back to the cloud being directed according to his counsels, whether it be for correction, whether it be for the land, or whether it be for mercy. This is really allowing your spirit, not your mind. I'm talking about your inner man, to understand what this man has done so you can release the weight and the sin that is holding you back. No jokes, but when baptism roll around, ain't no joking, ain't none of that dead serious, ain't nothing to smile about. Only thing to smile about is that the angels will rejoice that another soul has been added. Now that's something to smile about. But then you have to sit back and look at, why am I sticking my hand? Ain't nobody gonna leave human excrement and waste in a living room and roll around in it. You're not disgusted, were you not? That's the same way that all of us should sit back and look at, why am I rolling around and what happened to me when I was 9? Why am I rolling around and what happened to me when I was 14? Why am I rolling around and what happened to me when I was 25? And now I got access to him. I could understand when you didn't know. But once you know, why you staying there? That means you want to be in Egypt with Pharaoh. That means you saying bondage is better for you than to be free. See, we don't look at it in that aspect, comparing it to the word. But when you compare it, you read about your folks to go back in bondage, but do the same though. Because you stay in bondage to life events. You stand in bondage to your flesh. You stand in bondage to your doubts and your anxiety and your nervousness and your worry and your fears. For what? That's all they did. It was just a physical location that it was tied to. They say it was better for us. These people were beating you across your head and you said it was better for you than to go be free. You know what I'm talking about? Would you stay in this house? If this house caught fire and the front door was wide open and you could walk out? You're going to sit here and be like, you know, it's better for me to just, oh, this flame hot. But it's better for me to stay right here. Oh, that's hot. Let me just stay right here. You wouldn't do that. But that's what we do. And we do that because we convince ourselves that it's better to do that than to just get up and walk out the door. You could just really just get up and walk out the door. And whatever's behind you, that's where it's going to be at. Don't be like Lot's wife now. We just look at Lot's wife and be like, oh, she got burned up. She was burned up because she was looking back. And nothing back before you. If it was for you, you'd still be there. Ain't nothing back there for you. She didn't have the wisdom to understand Elohim's going to direct you into a place of safety and protection. Every single person in here done something that they regret. Every single solitary person in here has done something that you have regret. Guess what? The Lord cares. Because if he cared, you wouldn't be here right now. Because he'd gave you a different mind and you would have just kept on rolling in whatever it is that you were doing. He gave you, because outside I can I say that definitely that everyone in here has done something that they regret? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? It's hard, nigga ain't lie. One thing you have to do is you have to learn how to live with regrets. And you know how you live with regrets? I just, taking that mistake, learning from it, and being better from it. I told you what Ms. Rose said, if you don't learn from your mistakes, that's just a wasted life experience. Look at, man, I used to sit on that prison bed, man, and recycle what I could have did, go work for free. Nigga wouldn't dare work on the street for $7 an hour, ready to come work for bologna and peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Happy to be here. It didn't change the situation, what occurred, but I can change what happened in the future. I learned from what occurred and not doing it again. That's the key component that you have to master and learn. Replaying the past does nothing because that's done. But learning from it can allow you to not make that mistake again in the future. And you can be a better individual for it and be stronger than what you were before you made the error. Because I ain't been back in prison. You know what I'm talking about? I've been out almost 11 and a half years. I ain't been back. I ain't even close to going back. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's that approach. That's the approach of mental fortitude. How many of you feel like your people raised you to have a high level of mental fortitude? Any of y'all back here? Nobody? So nobody feel like their people raised them to be mentally tough, mentally strong? Now, I ain't talking about cliches. Now, I ain't talking about cliches. I'm talking about literally teaching you to be mentally tough. That means they ain't teaching to you. See, when you taught that, then you have the ability to not allow situations and circumstances to overcome you. See, I'm telling you this here because y'all got turned. I hope you would teach it to your turn. Because guess what? On the other side of that door, don't nobody care. And it's real out there. And ain't nobody gonna have no care or love for their mental well-being or state, no, at all. They don't care. Y'all already know that. So you have the ability to have the mental ability to learn from mistakes so those mistakes don't overtake them. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever met a nigga who quit on life? I was incarcerated with plenty. I've been on blocks with plenty. Like the niggas didn't care. Because they didn't have the mental fortitude to deal with their situation and circumstances. Judgment can cost you your life. Literally and figuratively. You know what I'm saying? But the key component is, what did you learn? Because if you can't sit back and look at any mistake or situation that you were in that didn't go in a desirable fashion for you, and you can't pinpoint what you learned from it, then that was just a waste. See, the one thing about maturity and mental fortitude is even in this place of negativity, you can still look at something and learn something from it where you're a better person for it. See, that's the purpose of the word. Remember, understanding you began to look at all the evil things that you had done. They may have not all came to you at one time. But then you began to sit back and think about, man, I did this and did that. And usually two things go to flowing through your mind. You probably go to getting down into salvation and thinking, is this really for you? It could be washed away. See, that's a normal course of thoughts, nothing irregular, either, especially for the extreme negative thought process. Nothing wrong with that. It's normal. But see, a lot of times we begin to focus on the negative part versus the part of, that's why he's the only Elohim who should be called Elohim. Because all these other gods that these people be talking about, they don't offer that. He offers what's the word I'm looking for? An opportunity where you had ran afoul of him. And let us be real with it. Smoking no weed, getting drunk, pulling your penis out and tooting your booty in the air. But you didn't really understand the significance of what you were doing. You knew you shouldn't have been doing it, but you didn't understand the gravity of the situation. You know what I'm talking about? See, it's a little different. Like, I know the gravity of selling dope. If you talk to most just out here who sell dope, they don't really understand the gravity of what they in. You know what I'm saying? That's what the gospel allows you to do, to understand the serious. All that what you done back here, I'm not worried about it. If you can set this down right here and come through my door with nothing in your hand, because remember, you don't know? Oh, you ain't saying nothing. Ain't no reason to bring old things and old burdens with you in a new way of living. Does that make sense? You need none of that stuff here because Yahuwah don't want none of that. That's bondage stuff. That's what niggas do when they get out of jail. You know when niggas get out of jail, what do? He leave everything. You got some niggas who go so far they burn their clothes. I ain't doing all that. I ain't never did all that. Nigga burn that. He's actually burning your clothes. to give you a new outfit. So you got to go ahead and be tried by the fire and be made pure. It's going to hurt. It works, though, I promise you. Mashiach, the righteousness which is of Elohim by faith, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his sufferings. These were already perfect, but I follow after, that I may apprehend that for which also I am apprehended of Mashiach Yahusha. Brethren, I count not myself apprehended for the thing I do, forgetting those things which the forefathers were supposed to do. They were supposed to forget that which was behind to go for that which was in front. Come back to Job 37. Who's doing all that crap? Job 37:15. What that look? 37:15. Do you know when Elohim disposed them and he caused the light of his cloud to shine? Do y'all know when Elohim disposed of them and caused his light of the Elohim to shine? Now, disposed here is to set or ordain, to transform into, the fashion or to work to a point or to make a sign. Do y'all know when he caused his light to shine in this cloud? Well, let's take a look. Let's come over here to what? Exodus chapter 10. Well, what you over there eating frosted flakes? You don't know. Exodus 10 and 21. Why don't you know? What's that mean? And towards heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. Hold on 1 second. He said this is darkness that can be felt. Let's see what it means. It's mashaj. It's to feel through or to grow. Or to search. Search for him and they what? Won't find it. So you have to be careful for that. And you know why you won't find it? Because you walk and they saw not one another, neither any rose any from his place for 3 days. But the sons of Yasharal had light in their dwellings. So he called, now of course if he calls it to go dark, what would make it dark? But there's light in the house of Yasharal because he calls in light to shine from his cloud, which again takes us into when he was on the stake. Now let's take a look at that on general principle. John chapter 3, verse 16. Make it 14. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Why are you doing that? I'm in place for that. So I think I do that. Thank you. Truly, truly, I say unto you, we speak that we do know and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our testimony. If I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man have ascended up to heaven, but he that comes down from heaven, man must be lifted up, and whosoever believe in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Let me ask you a question. Why did Moses have to lift up? You can come back to Acts 8 also. We didn't finish that. Why did Moses have to put that brazen serpent on the pole? Why Moses had to put that brazen serpent on the pole? Y'all know what occurred amongst the people that caused him to have to put that serpent on a pole. I heard somebody back there say something, but I can't make out what you said. I said they got bit. They did get bit. They got bit by serpents. Does anybody know what caused them to get bit by those serpents? To an extent. They actually got disrespectful. Very, very disrespectful. They went to talking trash about that man and say, all we got before us is this light bread, and quote, and to quote, we loathe this light bread. There's no bread, there's no water, and our soul loathed this light bread. Because the people began to be discouraged while they were going through the wilderness. But see, this is the thing again of what I was talking about before. See, if you look in the history of this people, we ain't never wanted to follow nothing or no one. If things did not go the way that we wanted it to go. If you pay attention to what your forefathers did, they were placing demands on Moses, telling Moses how to lead them when it was Yahuwah, that son Moses, the niggas was dead. Because again, like I said, we're the only people who put conditions on submission. Whether you're male or female, we're the only people who do that. Most men ain't gonna walk in a situation and just yield to another man if that's his block, that's his field, and yield to him and follow his call. Because I'm in your space. So what you do in your space, I'm here to serve you at this point because I'm in your space. I'm in your arena. How am I gonna come in another man's arena and tell him what he gonna do and how he gonna do it? Other people don't do that. Instead of going in another man's arena and trying to do that, they just don't go. If they know that I'm not going to yield to this man, they just don't go. I'm not going to go over there. We going to come over there. I ain't going to listen to this nigga. Because, see, this nigga got to give me this, and this, and I'll listen. That's why your forefathers dead. You know what I'm saying? That's why many people are dead. Because what does it matter? What does the book tell us to do, right? It says, and when Paul wrote his letters to those assemblies, he said for everybody to submit themselves one to another. You know what I'm saying? Now, you see, you'll have some people that take that and say a man's supposed to submit to his wife. That's foolish. You know what I'm saying? Two people can't submit to each other because that means no one is legal. You know what I'm saying? But what he's sitting back telling you is for his men, that men should yield to each other, looking at that no man is greater than the other. You know what I'm talking about? We all men in Mashiach. Do men have leadership roles in order? Yes, they do. But that's to stop you from looking down on each other, that you would be blessed. You know what I'm saying? It ends up happening with a lot of people who deal with the word and then begin to look down on one. He did not look at himself like he was better than anyone, even though that he was. Because he's the king. How do you get higher than the king other than Elohim? You don't. But did he conduct himself like niggas knew, like, oh, he better than us? They knew he was better. That's why they were so willing to serve him. You know what I'm saying? That's why he told you, he that ruleth among men must be what? Just. See, that ends up getting escaped. So if you see that somebody's just, then it shouldn't be no caveats. See, that's what we do to the Lord. We make caveats. When really we should just say, I just want to do what I want. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. I just really want to do what I want. But I want a leader, but I won't do what I want. That doesn't work. You can't be led and do what you want to do. You can be, but you'll have something lesser. Which means you'll serve Baal. Which means you'll have Buddha. Which means you'll have a simp for a man. Because he's going to let you do what you want. But then you're going to disrespect him because he's letting you do what you want. See, that doesn't make any sense. That's contradictory. Pure stupidity. Ain't that right, son? Are you okay? I lost my page. I'm good. I don't need it anymore. Come on back over here to Job 37. We're in verse 16. He said, do you know the balancings of the clouds? The wondrous works of him which is perfect in knowledge? Now that's Ta'im Ba when it comes to that, right? Y'all know what Ta'im is. You know what Tom is. That's the word for perfect. Who was described as being a perfect man? You know who was described as being a perfect man, but it didn't say perfect man? Do you remember? Huh? I can hear you. Said no, I wasn't. Oh, I was talking to everybody. It was Jacob. When it says that Jacob was a plain man, when you actually look up the word in the verse, it's a Tom, which is the shortened version of Tamaim, which is the word for perfect, or complete, sound, just, innocent, or man of integrity. What I was? Genesis 25. Yeah, that's Genesis 25. Hold on, I'll pull that word up here. Man dwelling in tents. And that word plain is Tom, which is perfect, complete. Perfect or complete, soul, wholesome, ordinary, quiet sort of person, complete, morally innocent, having integrity. So let you know that he was a perfect man. Wicked man, you lying on him. Because his testimony say he was a perfect man. Because at the end of the day, what deceit did he use to Esau? None. Nobody forced that nigga to sell his birthright. He gave up what was his because he thought that allows you to not be free. You're actually giving over your birthright to that which has you in bondage. At that moment, he let his hunger have him into bondage. and he gave up his birthright for it. So whatever has you in bondage, whether it's spiritually, mentally, or emotionally, you're giving your birthright to that. Don't realize you're giving your birthright away. You don't have to give it away. You don't have to give it away. You can say, nah, bro, I'm going to keep that. I ain't that hungry. You know what I'm saying? Goat hairs. He didn't do that. His mama told him to do that. See, the difference between you whole niggas is you whole niggas don't listen to your parents. Those people back then listen to their parents. See, they didn't come up, wow, I got to put on them goat hairs. What he was worried about is he was going to get damned. Mom Dukes told him what? Don't worry about it. That'll be my problem. Just go do what I told you. Yeah, see, that was told him. I'll take that curtain. You just go do what I told you. That's the difference. See, niggas, see how many of y'all, if your daddy was there or wasn't there, either or, that you feel like, you know what, if my daddy told me to son, even at this age, I would do it. You know what I'm saying? The people didn't look at him whether he was wicked, not wicked, or whatever the case may be. And whatever is exception if you're married. Because then you be like, you know what, I got to ask my husband first. That should be the first thing you say, unless you in his house and he asking you to serve. And if your daddy say, baby, I need you to go in there, clean that kitchen up and fix something for the household to eat, then women back there, husband or not, would have went in there and did it. They wouldn't have been like, I ain't cooking, cleaning the kitchen. They would, oh yeah, no problem, man. Like, you know why? Because your husband would have been sitting in there with your daddy. It wouldn't have been no reason for him to say, why you asking my wife to do that? See, now in this generation, niggas be like, nigga, you don't be telling my wife to cook and clean. Nigga, what's wrong with you? Nigga, if he telling her to do it, she gonna cook for everybody. That'd be no different if your daddy, man, back then, if you was in your home and your daddy walked through the door, the first thing you would have got up and did is went and made something to eat and serve everybody in the house. No questions asked. It wouldn't even been no thought. That's the first thing you would have got up and went and did. Let me serve the people who just came through my door. My daddy just walked through the door. Let me take care of him and my husband so that they can be comfortable. That's the first thing they would have did. See, we don't have that no more. You cooking nothing for them niggas. Niggas better make a sandwich. What them niggas think now? Ain't nobody made. Ain't no cook, short order cook. You know what I'm saying? It's rude and disrespectful. It's your daddy and your mammy fault that you don't know how to be no woman. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they would have did. When you seen Rebecca come through, she didn't know Isaac. What she did? Let me get some water for you. Let me get some water for you. They know, oh, this nigga no water. You know what I'm saying? You know where that come from? Your lack of respect for black men. That's what that is. You don't feel like a nigga worthy of that type of treatment, but you want a nigga to give you grade A treatment, though. You see the disparaging problem with that? You want a nigga to give you 1,001 things, but you don't feel like he worthy of none of that. I'm not buying that nigga. I'm not doing nothing. Because you go to Yahuwah with the same attitude. You want him to do 1,000,001 things for you, but you ain't willing to do one thing for him. Now, y'all feel like that's right? That ain't right. You know what I'm saying? That ain't right. It's just not right. The wrong attitude. It's a bad attitude to have because you're entitled. You feel like you deserve something that you have not earned. See, one of the biggest things when I'm talking about women, I ain't just talking about natural women. I'm talking about the house of Yasharal as a whole, and then instead of actually doing something where you have earned that. That goes the problem. You want something, because that's why we come up with the word I deserve. Why do you deserve it? Because when we sit here and Paul, do you deserve Yahuwah's mercy? Do you deserve his salvation? Do you deserve his ruach? So then there's nothing in life that anyone can open their mouth and say that they deserve. Because if you don't deserve anything. You don't deserve his salvation, but he extended it. So then you ought to appreciate it. But see, then we don't appreciate it. See, when a woman sit back and look at it like a man take care of you, that's not what you deserve. That's a part of his job description. You don't deserve that. That's a part of his job description. You cooking and cleaning is not giving the man something he deserves. That's a part of your job description. You being quiet and submissive and cooperative is not giving a man what he deserves. That's a part of your done in order to do that job. And as I mentioned, if you give minimal effort, you're going to get piss poor results. And your results is indicative of how great you actually are. You can't say you're great and not put in the effort. You can't do that. I don't care what it is in life. In order to be great, you have to do the work to be great. And if you're not doing the work, then how can you tell someone to see me as being great or upper echelon individual? You can't do that. That's like a nigga saying, I'm a great entrepreneur, but you don't market. You don't show up on time when you have scheduled something. Your products or your service is piss poor because you don't want to do the necessary work in order to be successful because it's taken away from the things that you desire to do. That means you don't really want to be great. You're just talking because it sounds good. You know why a lot of dudes that y'all went to school with and didn't make it as professional athletes? Because they weren't great, because they weren't willing to do the work necessary to be great. Because in order to be great, you got to put in the work. What did it say about Yahusha? He would be called what? Great. Did he not put in the work in order to be called that? He didn't shortcut nothing. He didn't do it when he felt like it. He did it because that was necessary in order to achieve greatness. So that's what has to be done. When you look at that virtuous woman and it said that she shall be praised and she excel all the other daughters in the gate, when you read the text, she put in the work. She didn't sit back and was called because she had a vagina. Every woman on the earth is born with a vagina. So you're not special because of that. But then also that come into play. You're told that you're special. You are not. Your daddy lied to you. Your mama lied to you. You are not special by existing. You're special by the value and the characteristics and the attributes that you possess that you put into action. That is what makes you special. Special is something that is rare. Is that not what it means in the simplest definition? Something that is rare, out of the ordinary. If you just exist, how are you out of the ordinary? There's 7 billion people in the earth. But if you fear Yahuwah, guess what that would make you? Special. A peculiar treasure, if you would. Ain't that what it say? That's what it say. I mean, it sounds rough, but is it a lie though? Because see, that's one of the things. See, that's that white people stuff. That's what people entitled because you want to tell your kids they special. They're not special because they exist. Because there's somebody else who ain't telling their kids they special. They're showing their kids what to do to put in the work in order to be called special. So when you see them, that's a special, that's a great thing right there. I say that, oh, he's got remarkable skills and such and such and such and such and such and such. That's why kids are entitled. I'm special. What's your grades look like? C's and D's. I'm special. Well, what you do for a living? Working Piccadilly? No, you're not special. And you know what's sad about that? They don't even exist. It's only one left. If it's still open. It's only one left on Beecher University. Shoot, it's been there. Shoot. Years, nigga, my whole life, as far as I know. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm saying that in regards to if you want to be seen as special, then you have to do extraordinary things. You have to do special things. And for all of us, the special thing to do is to fear Yahuwah. That makes you special in and of itself, just that act alone. We already see that the book say for a woman, if she fear Yahuwah, she shall be praised. That makes her special. That makes her special. And if she fears Yahuwah, that means she does everything under the y'all. What it is, I know the only thing that I require from mine to do is just to do what Yahuwah say to do. Some men, you may require more of your woman than that. But I know if she does everything that Yahuwah requires her to do, she's going to fulfill everything that needs to be done. There's nothing that she can't fulfill with that. No different than if I fear Yahuwah, there's nothing that I should not be able to fulfill for her. Because that's what he told me to do. What did he tell me to do? To nurture this woman. That means if she say, hey, I'm not being nurtured, that means, hey, you got to crank it up a notch. Would you not? Or would you sit there and be like, I'm doing enough? You figure out what it is that you need to do for them to be more mature. It's just that simple. It's really just that simple. We get up because they saying this is what I need. And if it's tangible, we talking about just some old off the wall stuff. We talking about something that's tangible and practical. They say, I need this. And you got to put in the effort and give them that. What if you look at the Lord and say, Lord, help me with my unbelief? Nigga, you believe. Helping you, nigga, and walk off from you. What you think that's going to do? Did he not instruct you to view your wife the same way he viewed his whole people as a whole? And you can't do that. That means if you deficient, Don't sit back and be like I'm deficient, and go talk to somebody who's more proficient so you can be more proficient instead of just being comfortable and being deficient. That's what he means by submitting to each other. That's how you end up having a body who leans on one another. This is how the strong supports the weak. This is how all of this is done, seeking not to please themselves. Because as it's written, the reproach is them that reproach me. It fell on me. That's how that's done. That's how that's done. But you can't sit back and say, because we're going to deal with this here individually. We don't have the time. But y'all giving the effort required to lead your wife how this man say you're supposed to do it. And are you giving him the requisite effort? And as a woman, are you giving that man the effort that the Lord says you're supposed to give him? And are you giving him the same effort, meaning Yahusha? And the effort level should be equal. It shouldn't be I give my husband more effort than I give the Lord. And it shouldn't be I give the Lord more effort than I give my wife. They should be equal because they one and the same. Y'all know what he say he required from a man is to lay his life down for her, to cherish her, to nurture her. You know what I'm talking about? And to view her as his own flesh. That's what he requires from you. So if you fear Yahuwah and you love Yahuwah, then that's what you would, effort level in fulfilling that would be equal to your effort level fulfilling that to Yahuwah. Why would it be equal? Because you're the opposite of what it says for her, that she's supposed to reverence her husband and everything. So that means you would be reverencing your father and everything. And if you honored him, then you would do what he instructed you to do for your wife. And if your effort level towards your wife is not equal to Yahuwah, then that is a problem. There's no different on the reverse side. If that man tell you to look at your husband as unto the Lord and to honor and respect him in everything, if you say you do that to Yahuwah, your effort level to him should be equal. Can't be one's here and one the other because he instructed you to view the other as him and vice versa. No different when he say honor your father and your mother, right? So if you honor him, how you not gonna have the honor for your parents that's equal when he the one told you to do it? You see how they can't be unequal? They have to be the same. That's a just what? Weight and balance. That's not a diverse measure. Can't be that way. You know what I'm saying? It has to be equal. It has to be equal. Only because, not because you're putting man or woman on a pedestal, because if you fear and honor him, that's what he commanded you to do. And then not only did he command you to do it, did he not do that himself? So again, that goes back to how that cloud is for what? Correction, for the land, and for mercy. That's what has to be done. Let me finish this accent. We got to get out of here and get to this water. I ain't even get to none of the stuff I was going to get to. Who are willing, we get around it. Hey, I need to finish that off. Definitely went a lot longer than I was planning on going. The buffering stopped a little bit. Acts 31 though. Acts 8 and 30. Let me read that. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah and say, understand what you read? He said, how can I, except some man guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. The place of the scripture which he read was this: he was led as a sheep to the slaughter, like a lamb dumb before his shearer. So he opened not his mouth. In his humiliation, his judgment was taken away. Who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. And the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray you, of whom speak the prophet this? Of himself or of another man? Then Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture and preached unto him God. And Philip said, if you believe with all your heart, you may. And he answered and said, I believe that Yahushua HaMashiach is the son of Elohim. That's all required. That's all that's required, which goes back to you taking your stand and understanding the works of Elohim, which is what Philip elucidated to him into this instance. And if that is not done, this is why I tell y'all, like, if somebody come and say they want to be baptized, unless they done told me that they ain't never heard the gospel, then I'm not going to do it. If you say you want to be baptized, I'm going to ask you, do you believe Yahushua is the son of God? If you say yes, then I can't stop. Because I can't fail you like that, because I'm going to have to come back and do it again. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to get immersed into the name of a man whom you've never heard of? That don't make no sense now, does it? Makes no sense at all. But guess what? It's a million of them brews all across their country. They do it all the time. They put flyers out on Facebook. Be baptized and come on through. And people just coming through. But I know why they do it, because the text say that's what you're supposed to do. But they didn't really look at what was done before it was actually done. They hit the people off. I told you last night, when they had them people confess their sins, that's for you to say, understand, when you go in that water, that cloud don't blot that out, baby. That's gone. That's gone. A lot of people think, well, I got to confess my sin. They thinking people being, nobody don't care what you done did. You know how much of a weirdo you got to really be concerned about what somebody done did at their baptism? You're a special type of weird. Like, what you gonna do to that nigga said he once kissed a man? Like, niggas, who cares? I only say that because that's what's in Corinthians, right? They lay that down, right? Abusers of themselves with mankind, idolaters, fornicators, adulterers, all that. They're like, at the end of the day, who cares? So that's when a nigga gonna look at you. So what you were doing before you got baptized? Well, shoot, smoke a little crack out the can. Oh, I used to steal out of Pick and Save. You look like you stole out of Pick and Save all the time. You've been in Pick and Save before. You know you was in there stealing all the people can. You don't remember? You ain't that young. See, but you talking about you ain't know what it is. See how you told the story? In here fibbing. Yeah, telling fibs. Where we at, man? Matter of fact, let's just stop this right now so we can get away with it. Hey, hallelujah for y'all trying to work. I appreciate y'all. I bless y'all in the house. I appreciate your patience. We got to make it go do what we got to do because these boys got to get on the plane. So, if who are willing on Wednesday,